Hi everybody, Tracy Brown. Good morning or afternoon or evening whenever you're listening to this. So I'm on my lanai. Just thought I would just do a different view because I'm usually either in my front yard or sitting on my little chairs over here on the lanai, but it's just so pretty. I want to be able to see a view. That's my window. You can't see that. Let's see here. Yeah, outside. Still trying to find people to put our screens back in. From the hurricane. I can't find anybody. I've called so many and getting no answers. So still keep trying. I'm going to do that after this call. I was like, hey, can somebody put screens back in so I can keep all the bugs and frogs and everything else out of here? Because, yeah, there's lots of critters in here right now that I'm not a fan of. So anyway, I promised last week a video on emotional eating, binge eating, and today's the day. So if you are struggling with that, whether this is honestly brand new, the first time you've ever watched any of my videos or even taken any steps to help you with your relationship with food, I want us to think a little bit about, we have this idea that binge eating is so much worse or emotional eating is so much worse than people who struggle with restricting. And in fact, it's not. It's just the same. It's just a different side of the same coin. And all of these struggles with food, whether you're restricting or feel like you're emotional eating or binging, it still all has a root in restriction. And if it doesn't always start out with food, sometimes it's just the restriction of our needs, our like very core intrinsic, like knowing that I'm cared for and that I'm okay needs. It starts with that for all of us. And sometimes that stuff starts before we even have like memories. We don't even lay down memories of having our needs attuned to or not until the earliest, like 2 years old. And again, most of us don't have memories of like being 2 and 3 years old. Some of us might have a few, but not many. And so all of that, a lot of the stuff can happen even before we're verbal, that we just have this nervous system that feels like it's stuck on not enoughness. And there's nothing you could have done about that. And so I want to start first with binge eating and emotional eating. It's just coming from a place of inside of us that feel like there's a hunger that needs to be met, and it hasn't gotten met in any kind of satisfying way in some way most of our lives. And we're trying to do it with food the best we can. So I want to start with that level of, baseline compassion. And then to move forward from that, when you are feeling like you're binging, it's so easy to chastise and berate and why did I do this and I know better. And again, go back to if you had better, a better toolbox or supply of skills, binge eating wouldn't be a concern in the first place. So again, bring this back to you're doing the best you can. And now that you're watching videos like this and reading books and getting support, you know that like you can learn for this just to be a strategy, not your only strategy, to help yourself feel calm, feel supported, feel cared for, or even the opposite. A lot of times we're binging because there's punishment involved and you feel like that you deserve to feel uncomfortable or you mess something up, so you're getting what you deserve. And sorry about that, had a little interruption. So it's just recognizing that that's all in your system, and this is a time to be more attuned to ourselves, to recognize that I just have a need for something, and I might use food for it, or I might need to rely on something else, but that's all this is. This is not being out of control or lazy or not caring about myself. In fact, emotional eating and binging are ways that we are trying to take care of ourselves. So when I say binging is trying to get your attention, that's exactly what that is there's a way that food, whatever it is you're eating, and those sensations that you're getting from the binging, whether it's the smoothness and the softness of the food in your mouth, going down your throat, filling up your belly, at whatever level of sensation you're trying to get, you are trying to do something with those sensations. And so just be curious, like, what is it I like, or that I'm getting from the chewing, the swallowing, the mouthfeel, the sucking, the letting things melt in my mouth? What is it that I'm getting from that feeling of not ever feeling strong hunger or emptiness in me? And what does that feel like if I were to allow that? Those are the questions to be going more deeply into, and what I want you to start being curious about. And so I know some of that work can feel a little bit advanced. So if I would back it up a step further, I would tell you, one, I know that we want to not be, quote unquote, in the habit of binging and emotional eating. So I would say that look at some of the habitual ways you might do that. Some of the certain foods, some of the places you might go, some of the places you eat the food, and just be curious about, is that something that you just do because that's what you've always done? And then you can make a decision, hey, maybe I can do something different today, just to see what would happen in that desire to want to eat at that time or in that place. If you notice that that's feeling really difficult to want to do, be compassionate about that. Like, oh my gosh, I know that I always want to go through the drive-thru at 3 p.m. on my way home. And the idea of not doing that scares the crap out of me. I don't want to not do that. I would say, okay, the next step is you have permission to do that, but just get curious about how you're feeling before and what's happening before you want to go to the drive-thru and get those certain foods to get full on, or to eat whether you're hungry or not. And then I guess one more thing that I want to add to this video before I end here is even people who struggle with emotional eating and binge eating, I really want you to get clear about if there's some kind of deprivation going on. That's so important, because it's really hard to clean up pure emotional eating or binge eating if there's deprivation mentally or physically and even emotionally going on, but especially look at the mental and physical deprivation. So if you're eating enough food, quote unquote, and I can't, only you can know how much that is without it being skewed by, dieting numbers in your head. Like you think you should only eat a certain amount of calories per day. Most people know enough about what they need. Like they can be on the internet and look at that. And if you're eating, probably less than 2,000 calories a day, you're probably, and believing that you should, then you're probably restricting in some way. And that's just an average. I don't want you to go calorie counting or any of those kind of things, but just know that, like, if you're thinking 1,200 calories is enough or 1,500 calories is enough, that's probably inaccurate, and that can be a big source of your binge eating. So again, I'm not asking you to go count on everything, but I know that, like, deep down you kind of know if you're eating enough or not, if you're struggling with emotional or binge eating. So something really important is to, if you're under eating, part of the binging is going to be about that caloric deprivation. And the other part of it is, this is something that happened to me all the time, was I would start off the day thinking I was going to diet or restrict in some way and not even do it at breakfast, but think, okay, well, I didn't do it at breakfast, but then I'll skip at lunch. And I would have this all day, like, very intense, like, drive. It was like having a car engine, like, in neutral, but revving the gas, like, I'm going to restrict, like, all day long. And I never did, but just that constant desire to restrict, to try to fix, the emotional eating or the binge eating or the deprivation-driven eating would make me deprivation-driven eat almost every day. And that cycle went on for a good 4 years. And so a lot of it was emotionally driven, but a lot of it was just the diet mentality stuff of, like, I got to fix this. I got to, like, eat less so I can feel better, and I can feel better about myself. And at least I'll have that going for me, that I can at least control that. And I can't control my life, and I can't control this relationship I'm in, and I can't control all kinds of stuff that I didn't even know what it was. But at least if I can skimp on breakfast or lunch or dinner, then, it'll be a good day. I woke up like that every day for years, and had no clue until I finally recognized that I was doing it. But it took me 4 years to figure it out. So that's one of the reasons I do these videos. It doesn't have to take you so long to figure it out. I really want you to take action, on these videos and say, where am I having deprivation-driven thoughts? Or how am I, even just by not fully getting satisfied at breakfast, how could that be triggering my binges later? Or if you're not under eating at all, but your pattern is to eat way past comfortable fullness at lunch every day in the same place, maybe look at that. Well, maybe what would it be like if I changed something up, just to see if something would shift that I can notice, that I feel I can take some action on, or at least have some awareness of. So I'm hoping this video helped you today, that when we are feeling like we're binge eating or emotional eating, or even scared of that happening, that is all a message for us to look more deeply about what it is we need, what it is that drive to eat is about. And again, 90% of the time, it has so much to do with some kind of deprivation and unmet need in our life, that if we allow ourselves to get to the root of that, you'll start to find that the emotional eating and the deprivation-driven eating starts to drop off without white knuckling, without willpower, without those kind of things. So I hope this video was helpful today. I really enjoyed talking to you about it. I think that's it for today. So any comments, questions, put it in, and tag me in the comments below, and I will be on top of it. Thanks so much, and talk to you soon. Bye.